And we are back for another casual conversation with the classic. And today I got Mr. Gucci Prada, the absolute Ricky Starks, with me today. He's on a hot streak right now. How are you doing, Ricky Starks? How are we today?
I'm doing great. I've decided today I'm gonna keep this tree up all year round because I like Christmas. I like Christmas, but I like the aesthetic of Christmas. So then I'm gonna keep this up year round. It just brings me a little bit more joy. And if we are having another interview, let's say, I don't know, 8 months from now, and you still see this tree, don't ask me questions about it.
I won't, not at all. I think it's dope. I think Christmas might be my favorite holiday too, but for only the reason that I don't know, everyone actually seems more merrier, it seems more wholesome. You put a tree up, everything feels more comfortable and cozy. I don't know why.
Yeah.
So I feel that.
It's that feeling that it brings.
Yeah. Like when you come home, you probably feel like, oh, there's my Christmas tree. I'm home.
Yes.
Yeah.
Once the lights are on, once I turn the lights and play this in and I sit down, I go, nice. There it is.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. I also want to bring up, I obviously did some research prior to this show, and I was listening to a couple of interviews you did, and you made a New Year's resolution at one point saying that you're going to start learning how to say no moving forward. But you're here, so I don't know, how well has that been going for you?
No, I wanted to do this one. I've actually been pretty good with my New Year's resolution and saying no to things, and honestly, no issue so far.
That's sweet. That's sweet. Do you have a New Year's resolution coming for this next year? Since the New Year's right around the corner.
That's a good one. I haven't thought about it. No, I don't have one right now. I'm trying to think.
Hopefully, by the end of this interview, you'll have one, and we'll get back to it.
The probably spark halfway through.
Yeah, let's get into it. This being, the Wrestling Classic, podcast, casual conversations. I want to talk about professional wrestling and what people are really intrigued by. And I know it's pretty, regular question, but I want to know, like, what were your earliest memories of wrestling, and what got you hooked?
Dude, so my brother watched wrestling quite a bit. I remember like taking the Ted DiBiase figure and flushing it down the toilet, and being so mad at me. But my earliest memory of it was when I was 7, and I was watching Raw, and I remember Taker was on there, and Taker was doing like his entrance and all that. And I was just so like mystified. I was like, whoa. And I remember like continually trying to catch that wrestling show because I didn't know, at 7, I didn't know how to like follow a show on a channel. Like, I didn't know that they came on at a certain time, and you know what I'm saying, stuff like that. And so I think what happened was, I would watch USA Channel for like 2 hours prior to whenever Raw get on because I didn't know when it would start. So I just watch these random shows and be bored. But yeah, it kind of started from there, and it really picked up as I got older, where I had the action figures and I had the ring. I didn't watch. I didn't watch anything else. I watched some cartoons, but I never played any sports, and I only watched wrestling. Like, I was just so obsessed with wrestling beyond like going outside and like riding my bike and all that. But yeah, I never watched anything else. I was so hooked on wrestling in the purest form.
Were you like the wrestling fan in the house, or did your siblings watch it as well? Like, did your brother watch it too?
No, as they got older, they kind of fell out of it. It was mainly me, but my brother would come. My brother started to like get back into it a little bit around like 2000, 2001. Because I remember wrestling. We would wrestle like on a futon and try out different moves.
Yeah.
And I remember when Booker T debuted at WWF, it was me, my brother, and his friend that were watching. And I remember those like type of moments. But I think at a certain point, like once his life started to pick up and all that, he kind of was like, okay. But there was a few years where we did watch it together and like got a kick out of it.
Because that's really relatable to me. Like, I got into it because my older brother, who happens to be 10 years older than me, big Hulkamaniac, grew up with all the tapes and had all the action figures and magazines. As soon as I was born, like, they were just around the house and stuff. But then as he got older, he fell out of it, got into real estate, did all that. And like, here I am still so involved with it. And he's always like, I don't know what I did to you. Like, and it's a similar story with friends too. Like, when I grew up, obviously when I was a kid, it was Stone Cold, DX, WCW, all that stuff. So we'd all be play wrestling on trampolines and beating each other up outside. But even them, eventually they grew out of it, and then I was always the wrestling guy. What made you stay the wrestling guy? What kept you involved with wrestling? Was it just like you were enamored by it?
I'm not really sure what kept me hooked. I think I don't know. I was so like, that's a hard one to really try to break down, because watching it back and seeing these episodes that I was watching, I was just like, how are they even allowed to watch this? I remember watching the 2000, I believe, the 2000 Royal Rumble.
Yeah.
And then my mom be like, what is going on in the show? I think it was just the characters and the action and the aesthetic of it. Like all that stuff combined, I really, really liked. And it's really what kept me like engaged with it too. And a lot of these personalities were so just funny to me, because I was able to kind of in my head connect them to real people that I knew. And I was like, oh, this person reminds me of this person, or stuff like that. So that's how I just kept hooked into it. And then as I became a teenager, wrestling really got me through periods where, I moved to a new city and I hated it. I remember playing SmackDown versus Raw 2006 online religiously. One of the best games, because on PlayStation 2 you can get online, and like that's why I met some friends that I still keep in contact with today. Dude, I was playing that all the time. I'd come home from school and would play that because I hated school. I hated where I lived at. And, you know what I'm saying? Just the typical teen angst.
Yeah.
And then I got into e-fetting too. I used to do a lot of e-fetting. No one really.
Were you ever in any MSN group e-fed?
Yes.
Where you'd role play and you'd pick like a wrestler and you put your name on, and then you'd role play the promos against each other, and whoever was controlling it would book the shows, and you would just get excited to see if you won or not, and then go forward from there.
Oh my god. So
I did that too.
I wasn't a fan of picking the wrestler. I had my own character, but it was based off an obvious wrestler, just with a different name, but the same name. So, because I taught myself how to do Photoshop when I was 13, so I would make these graphics for my character. And I remember one time I got punished, and my mom took away the because I had a laptop and had an internet card, a little stick. I remember sneaking up, waking up in the middle of the night, grabbing that and plugging it in because I found it just to see if I won on this results. It was the wildest thing. But dude, I would stay up until 5 a.m. writing promos.
Because we didn't know what these people are. They could be in England, they could be anywhere, but they're running this e-fed, and we just wanted to be part of it. And I know what you're talking about, because the coolest people always had the graphic of their character with the cool Photoshop thing, and then they get the screen caps. And it was a time. It was a time that not many
HTML code. If you had the HTML code down pat, your stuff looked very nice, as opposed to just a block of text. But MSN groups was great because you had the MSN Messenger and then you had the MSN chat within that group. Yeah. Dude, it was
younger kids would never know the importance of Hotmail back in the day.
I still have my account. It's great.
I still have my Hotmail account, but I haven't the MSN Messenger days were
I miss it. I really do. It's the most innocent time of my life.
I'll still nudge people. I'll still type out the word nudge sometimes when I want to get someone's attention. It does nothing to their, but that being said, I like that you brought that up, because I think for the next thing I wanted to ask you about was, so you were a fan the entire time. Who were your biggest inspirations? Who for you were the wrestlers that you were hooked to? You're those are my guys that kept you talked about the characters.
You said you did your research. You said you did your
research. I did, but we need to talk about this for the people that don't know.
So my top three is Undertaker, Mankind, and The Rock. Those are my people. And I remember when Foley retired, I was crying because I was watching the pay-per-view on scrambled television, and I could faintly see he lost. So that sucks. And then the next night, it was February 21st, my birthday, that he had that package with the Sarah McLachlan video package where it was I will remember you. And I remember running my bathwater and just Foley. So good. But Taker's my guy. Taker's my favorite wrestler of all time. The wildest thing is that as I got older, I actually met him. I had him watch one of my matches from the Indies. I sparred with him. in preparation for his match against John Cena at WrestleMania. Like, kept in touch with Taker, and still to this day, when I see him, like, still the same, you know, hey man, how are you doing? I'm
That's so
proud
cool.
of you. That's what he's telling me. He said he's proud of me and I'm doing great. So yeah, it's really wild to go from that to, you know, sitting on a couch with the dude that you love when you grew
Yeah.
up.
It's pretty insane, that's for sure. What was your first Taker? Like, when you said you saw The Undertaker, what era of The Undertaker was it? Because obviously he had a bunch of different eras, but, like, for
97.
me he was 97. For me, it was the Purple Glove Taker was the first one I remember seeing. I'm like, "That's my guy."
Oh, no. This 97 Taker was like right before. So this is like full. He
Teardrop
still kind of
Undertaker?
had the. Still had the teardrop a little bit.
Yeah.
This is when he has the he doesn't have the great guitar theme song yet. That
Yeah.
doesn't come until, like, I think the next summer. But this is when we're in full dark phase. Now we're at the peak of his character. And that is my favorite Undertaker. I don't care for the gloves or any of that. 97, 98 Taker is my favorite.
And I ask you that because at that point, everyone's favorite Undertaker is the first one they saw, and that's what I always figure. Like,
Yeah.
everyone's always going to the first one they saw, and like someone might now we're at a place where there's probably kids be like, "Oh, it's the one with the motorcycle," and I'll be like, "Oh my god, you don't even know." But like, it depends on the first one you saw. And I used to actually dislike Mankind at the beginning part because when I first started watching, he was feuding Mankind, and Mankind was a scary bad guy.
That's right.
Even though Undertaker was a scary guy too, he was like the good guy, so I was less scared of him. But like, I was like, I don't like the Mankind guy. But
Mankind, dude, you know what made me really love Mankind was I loved him just because of the brown outfit, right?
Yeah.
But then I read his autobiography, and really that's how I started to get a really good grasp about an idea of what wrestling is like. And that was the first book that I read because I got punished and had to do an essay about it. And that was the first book I read. I was like, this dude's awesome. Like, I really, I have a notebook where I kept doing the smiley face. I just wrote it. Like, I drew this smiley face of his logo. And I was just like, damn, I really was into Mankind like that, huh?
Yeah. I mean, that first book was great. Have a Nice Day. I remember I read it when I was in high school, and I'm like, oh, like that was like one of the first, before there was a ton of podcasts and started finding all the shoot interviews. That was like the first, like, kind of see the inside of what was going
Into it,
on.
yeah.
And I'm like, oh, like this guy is completely open about everything about the road life and etc. I'm like, so it's super cool. You said The Rock, so I have to ask two questions. First question, does it, like, where do you stand? Right? It happens all the time. It happened on TV a couple of weeks ago with MJF. How do you stand when people compare you to The Rock? Do you find it flattering? Do you find it kind of annoying? Like, where's your standpoint on that? Obviously, he's one of the greatest of all time. And two, now that we had a little bit of a conversation was he the wrestler you based your Effect character off of a bit, or am I wrong?
No, I'll answer
Okay.
the second question first. So I had one character that I based my character. He was based off of Raven.
Oh,
So
wow.
I had a lot of Effect characters. I was either based off of Raven, or sometimes I actually just did The Undertaker or Kane. One time I was Al Snow because that's all that was available.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's how far I went. The first question, I don't mind the comparisons. I think they're flattering. I really do. I find them funny. I tell you this a lot. I just don't like it when I do something that's creative from my own mind with no influence from anyone else, and someone goes, "Oh, he's just stealing for The Rock." Because now you're
Yeah.
like, you're discrediting me for my talent that I'm doing. You know what I'm saying? And I usually get that a lot when I dress up nice, or for some reason people have it in their head that turtlenecks can only be worn by one guy. It's very weird. I don't think wrestling fans are used to people dressing up nice and having, you know, I know my style and I like my style, and it's the same way I dress up outside of wrestling.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a very weird thing. But I mean, it's funny.
Yeah. I mean, it's not a bad person to be compared to if you're going to be compared to a wrestler.
No, not at all. And
So
the other
I
thing
would
is,
find it flattering, but I get where you're coming from. They're discrediting the work you're doing that you feel is original and it's yours, and they're like, oh, he's just trying to be like The Rock. You kind of like, no, this is Ricky Starks. I want to be Ricky Starks. That's a nice comparison. This is Ricky Starks. So, like, 10 years from now, I want you to be like someone's trying to copy Ricky Starks. So
exactly, it's my own little, it's me. If anyone that I was to copy, it would be the people of New Orleans. But I mean, I go out there and I have this effeminate, sassy type character, what I'm saying, or not character, attitude. Whereas The Rock was just this alpha male that was just the only similarities we have is we both talk crap about other people. So I can't help that I'm good at that.
Yeah, and also the style thing. Let's talk about that for a second, because I feel like sometimes that is something that's not as appreciated in the wrestling world as it should be. I mean, even in other sports like the NBA, you'll see them walking into the arena and all their clothes are tagged. You know who they're wearing, because it's important, because people look up to athletes and people look up to celebrities the same way people look up to wrestlers. I always think it's important. I think to dress yourself up, because there's going to be kids that are going to look at you and be like, I want to be dressed like him. Like, you're an influential person.
Right.
How important do you think fashion and style is to professional wrestling? I think that's a really key missing part these days.
Dude, I really appreciate Seth's fashion. I really like the stuff that he wears.
Shout out to Troy. Yeah.
To me, it should go hand in hand. And I really, really do enjoy fashion outside of wrestling. I think it's fun to wear what I want to express how I feel that day. Obviously, not a lot of people share that mindset, right? I'm not talking about you just come out and you wear a suit and some brown shoes and then you're fashionable. No, that's cool. That's bare minimum. But it got to the point where I was doing walk-ins. I filmed a few walk-ins and I posted on my Instagram because I was trying to get that started. At the end of the day, bro, most wrestlers ain't got a lick of fashion sense, right?
Yeah.
They barely have a lick of business sense. So to expect these people to even know how to dress is asking a lot of them.
I think companies should hire someone that could help everybody with that, because there's money to be made. And it's also like, I always think the key is to stand out. I'm like, it doesn't matter if it's good fashion or ridiculousness like the Macho Man, but you stand out, you remember the outfits. It's almost like when wrestlers wear different attires for special events. Like, fans remember that. So remember your outfits. People still mock The Rock's outfits till this day. Like, everyone dresses up in that black turtleneck and the chain for Halloween till this day. Yeah. Just have your sense of style and stand out. And I think it would be really beneficial for any wrestler's career. So I think you're onto something.
I'm open to, like, yes, I can style myself, but I'm so curious about other people's viewpoint on me and style that I've been looking for a stylist to work with, because I want to keep that expanding. But yeah, there's not a lot of people that dress up that should, and I don't know if it's because of the lack of effort or what, but hey, it's whatever.
I think appearance is part of the game. And to that being said, having a stylist doesn't take away from you having your own style either. They just pick you the clothes and you pick what you're comfortable in. And like, I'm gonna rock.
Yes, it's more convenience in that.
100%. So let's talk about a little bit more about that. What is the Ricky Starks? Like, how'd you come up with, like, who is Ricky Starks? Because, like, I first saw you in NWA. You caught my attention right away. I'm like, this guy's got this special sort of charisma. He's got the special, like, it's easy to be drawn to you. You stand out in a crowd of a bunch of different people because, like, there's something different about that guy. He's unique. He has that I don't know what it is, but I want to see him more, because you have that, you can talk, you have that charisma, and you can go in the ring. So how'd you come up with Ricky Starks, like this person?
Well, I mean, I am ultimately who you're referring to. So, I mean, the best way that I would describe myself to somebody would be more in the vein of, he is just a very smooth, hot-headed, passionate, you can say sarcastic, sassy individual. And there's something about me, I guess, to people that is a bit endearing, and that's great. But I think when you meet me, oh, okay, this dude ain't about no BS. Like, I'm as matter of fact and straight to the point and don't beat around the bush as you can get. I have low tolerance for any type of mess or BS that someone tries to come my way. But I'm also a bit eccentric too. You know what I'm saying? I likes what I like, and nobody can really, deter me from who I am. At the end of the day, that's what it really boils down to. Like, I think it bothers some people that I am so confident in myself, that I'm so suave in what I like and how I dress and how I move and talk, that people get rattled by it because it's not what they expect. So, especially from a professional wrestler. So, it really is. I think if you meet me and then you go and take a visit to New Orleans, something in your brain will go, that makes sense. I get it now.
Yeah.
I get it. I can't really explain it completely to you, but I get it.
It's that vibe out there. You got that. You
Yeah.
carry that vibe with you. 110%. I can see that now. Obviously, you were in the NWA, like I said. That's where I first saw you, and then you came to AEW. You came to that Cody Rhodes Open Challenge. What made you make that decision to go from NWA to AEW? Like, was that always the goal for you? Were you just kind of done with NWA? And
so I was done.
In disguise?
I left NWA. There was an option to renew the contract or whatever. And I said, nah, I'm good. I'm good here. And the reason I did that is because I'm the type of person that if I think that I've gotten the most out of something and there's a ceiling that I'm about to hit, I just will take a gamble on myself and I'll just bounce and I will head out and I've gotten the most out of it. There's nothing more. You know what I'm saying? That's how it was for NWA. I got everything that I felt like I could out of it, especially during that era. And that was when the pandemic hit. And so I had quit, was making money from my T-shirts off my website, stuff like that. And I got a message, an email about coming in to do this open challenge. And the wild thing is I had the visions of this. I was working out and had a vision that Cody came out in the ring and he did an open challenge, and then my promo package popped up on the screen and I came out and I had it consecutively. Dude, when I got called and went up there, I wasn't originally planned to have a promo, but I was doing a bunch of B-roll stuff that Dylan, one of the editors, he cut it together to show Tony, like, hey, we got a bunch of stuff from Ricky on this B-roll. Maybe we can use it as somewhat of a promo package before he comes out. Tony loved the idea, and that's what you saw is what you saw. And when I walked out there, you can actually see me look at the screen. And I go, look at that, and I just went into the ring.
Yeah.
That was a really great night for me because a few things. I didn't know that was essentially my tryout. I didn't know that I was going to get signed from that because we're in a pandemic. And I just didn't think they were signing people.
Yeah.
Before that, I was just at home, wrestling a broom and filming it and putting it online. So I really thank Cody for that. Cody saw my vignette, supposedly. He saw my vignette on Twitter that I had filmed myself, these little vignettes that was more of a lookbook about me and what I am. And I figured if I wasn't on camera or TV to put together a high package for myself, I'll do it myself. I'll pay for it myself, and then I'll post it online.
Smart.
So you saw that, and it worked, and I love it, and I love doing those videos. And after the match, Tony had offered me a contract, and I never forget that I was in Cody's office, and I said, to me, this is gonna be a match of the year candidate, and I was so strong in that feeling, and I sat in that Cody, like, he looked up at me, he was like, all right. And that I was just so forthcoming with it because I had no problems believing that to a T. And there it was. I literally had a tryout on live TV.
That's insane.
And got signed off of it. And that is one of the most proudest moments I have for myself.
It has to be. And you definitely sort of just manifested all that happening, and it happened the way you did. And I think that's the coolest thing about it. And you put the work in to get there too. Like, you didn't just like think about it and it was going to happen. You thought about it, but you also were like putting out vignettes online and keeping yourself moving in that sense, to the point where it's like, we can't ignore this guy, so I think that's super cool. In that period with Team Taz, because I want to get to MJF and Jericho, but in that period of Team Taz, what do you think you learned the most working in that group and with Taz in that period? Like, what do you take from that as the biggest lesson?
I learned how to maximize my minutes. I learned that if I'm on screen and I'm not able to, and I don't get no promo time, even though I can freaking talk, then I'm gonna maximize my minutes in the way that I see fit, in the way that I think is gonna be beneficial to me. And if you notice, that is actually around the time where I came out dressed up. I came out like none of this is new. I always came out dressed up in knitted shirts and glasses and slacks and all this stuff. But I maximize my minutes because of my presence and being there, and these like small little all that, you know what I'm saying? That is what I learned the most out of that group, because at the time it was like me, Brian Cage, and Taz. So 3 to start with, and then Hobbs got at it. But around that period, it was just Taz really doing most of the talking, and Taz would try to throw me a ball here and there. But bro, it only had like 15 seconds, 20 seconds to talk, and it used to drive me insane.
Yeah. So you learned how to maximize your minutes. That being said, obviously you were hurt for a bit, and then you came back. But for a lot of us that are fans of yours and been rooting for you for a while, we were waiting for the moment you finally got that opportunity, and you finally did recently. You got a challenge for the AEW World Championship against MJF. What did that mean to you? And that fire promo, like, how important was that for you to knock that out of the park?
For as important as it was to do that promo, I sure did take a gamble by just going out there and winging it a bit. And that's kind of, if I were to die today or tomorrow, I would hope someone goes, dude, this mug took a gamble every which way, and it paid off for him, and he was so strong in that. Having the opportunity to wrestle for the AEW Championship was extremely important to me, because it was more of a validation in my head. It was more of a, what have you been waiting on? What took you so long type thing? You know what I'm saying? And I can feel that way and be justified in the way I feel, because I know the work that I put in, and I know exactly what I have to offer. So to have that was a great feeling. And then the promo, I didn't expect it to have that type of reception that it did, because to me, that's just me. That's just how you want to get me riled up? All right, well, listen, if you want to try to roast me on TV, let's do it. Let's get to it. Because, baby, I can go for days.
And I think that was the best part of it, because we know MJF likes to roast people, but there's only so many people that will roast him back with that much success and that good. And you did that. It was like oh wow. And I think for a lot of people, it was like they hadn't seen that side of you if they weren't paying that much attention, but now they are paying attention.
That's the wild part about it. And my thing is, there is nothing nobody can tell me about my looks or anything that I haven't already heard. On top of that, dude, I grew up in the era where I was playing Halo 2 online. So I've heard a litany of just bad insults, and I have pretty tough skin. That's why I look on Twitter and I laugh. Because it's funny to me.
No, it's hilarious. It was great, and I think we're all rooting for you going forward now. And it's finally, I just felt like kind of euphoric. Like finally, the Ricky Starks has the ball, and they're gonna let him play with it. Finally, he's in the game fully. Obviously, you were always around. You're doing your thing. You've been successful. You even killed it on commentary. But we wanted you to be in the upper echelon. You're finally in that spot, and we're glad to see it.
Yeah.
Moving forward, you're working with Chris Jericho in Seattle at the Climate Pledge Arena, January 4th. You guys are finally coming to the Pacific Northwest, my area, my neck of the woods. I'm 2 hours away and coming down there for that. But you're working Chris Jericho. I think I read somewhere that you were a tad bit disappointed that you never really got to work with a lot of the bigger names, the established names in the company. You've got to work with Sting a little, but you didn't really get to work with Bryan or Punk or Moxley much yet. But now you get to work with Jericho. The things, I don't know if you're manifesting all this, but things are going in your favor right now. How do you feel about that?
The thing about manifestation is that you have to be very clear on what you want. Because you will be given something, and if you are even a bit shaky in actually wanting that, you got to be prepared. And I'm saying that to say, like, I manifested this without ever picking a name, so to speak. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so this is what I was given, and this is what I shall take on, and this is what I shall succeed in. I did have a little bit of an issue where I was like, you know, I only got iron sharpens iron at the end of the day. I don't care about, oh, you put on a banger of a match with so and so. That's cool and all, but baby, I'm trying to learn. I'm trying to progress. I don't want to be the same Ricky that I was last week. I want to be a more improved version of myself. So I was disappointed that I really, in my whole 2 years of AEW, I only had a match with Sting. And even then, that was a bit of a slow burn.
Yeah.
I was disappointed that I didn't get the chance to wrestle Punk. Because in my head, as you saw with the promo on Max, I can stand shoulder to shoulder with these people. Or in Max's situation, I can stand over him. Okay? Because his face touches here. And now that Jericho has stepped into the fray, I'm ready. I'm not scared. I'm not nervous. As you could see on Dynamite last Wednesday, I took it to Jericho, and I had no problems with that because, bro, I'm so confident in myself at this point. Been doing this since 2011, not 2012. 2011, I should know exactly who I am and what I'm about. And I think the progression that I'm about to go through in such a short span is going to be wild. It's going to be absolutely wild.
And knowing that confidence, we can see it, and it's great. And honestly, I enjoyed that promo this past week on Dynamite with Jericho. Once again, not many people are going to just go out there and roast Jericho as effortlessly as you did. Like it was great. You hit all the right spots. You're hearing the fans. You hear what they say. You're bringing that in too, and I thought it was super cool. Looking forward to the match. And I guess last but not least, we've touched on a few of them, but like, what are the big goals for Ricky Starks in 2023? Back to your resolution. What is the big goal for you? What's the one thing, if you had to manifest something clearly right now that you want to achieve in 2023, what would that be?
You know, Cody tells me all the time, I have to be very specific in my goals. Because I used to just have broad goals. I would usually be like, oh, I just want to get signed to a wrestling company, right? It's like, I could have got signed to, you know, Rock King or something like that in India. I don't know. So, which is a great place to wrestle.
Is that still a thing? I don't know if it's still.
I would hope so. I would love to go to India and wrestle. There's a group of kids on YouTube that you know mimic some of the WWE wrestlers, and it's awesome.
I've seen that. Yeah,
dude, it is so good. I'll send you a link. I love that show.
Definitely send
it. I honestly think my main goal for this year is to really carve out my own type of like. I don't know how to explain it. I want to just be so fulfilled in myself. You know what I mean? And what I mean by that is like, I want to be fulfilled creatively. I want to be fulfilled in the ring, on the mic. I want to be fulfilled as a person on this television show that has stepped up and is now in another like level. And he should be talked with those other people in that level. I would love to, you know, win the TNT Championship if I don't get to the AEW Championship first. Those are 100%. Things that I want to do. Step out of that and, you know, outside of the wrestling stuff, I want to star in a TV show. I want to star in a movie.
Yeah.
Like, these are the things that I want, that I'm going to get because I deserve it, and I'm going to make sure I get it. And regardless, like, nothing is going to stop me.
Yeah, I know. I'm with you. I'm rooting for you. I want you to see. I want all this stuff to happen. You did answer one of my other questions I didn't get to ask, which was if it wasn't wrestling, would there be anything else? It seems like you're interested in some acting and doing some of that as well. So that's dope.
It's a natural progression. I feel like, don't you?
Yeah.
Like, I feel like it's an easy way to still stay involved in entertainment and save my body while still getting paid a lot of money.
100%. And then also all that pillar talk, time to knock down those pillars and just let people know.
It sucks, doesn't it? It's so, oh God, it's like self-masturbatory. I hate it.
Yeah, because I'm like, I remember when they first started making the pillars, or they first not making them, when they first mentioned the pillars on TV or whatnot. I'm like, that's cool. I like all 4 of these people, but there's some other young guns here that should be getting some shine too. And you were one of them. I'm like, where's Ricky Starks? It was, then Punk came and said Britt, but I'm like, no, there's other people that should be like, why is there just 4 pillars? I know it's an old, like, I don't know if it's All Japan and New Japan thing, but it's just like,
and that's the thing.
4 pillars, we got bricks here. They're gonna build this house.
I promise you, Max has never seen any type of All Japan, any type of. He probably don't know who Masawa is or Jun Akiyama. The thing about the pillar talk is this: I don't want to be involved in it. I don't want to be like. Yeah. I like most of those people in that conversation, and it's a cool gimmick. It's a cool shirt. It's a cool tagline to run with. But to me, heartfelt, I don't like it because don't put me in such a pigeonhole thing. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. I stand above all of that in my head, and to say that there's people who are like, well, Ricky's old, so he can't be considered a pillar. First off, all right.
What is old to people? What is old to people?
Yeah, like what's old? That's what I want to know. I'm literally 32, so give me.
Yeah.
I'm just saying, I don't want to. I put it online that I don't want to be included in talks of pillar. It's a very sweet gesture by fans, but it is so nauseating because it's just so gimmicked and fake, and I hate it. I really do.
A lot of weight on those people's shoulders because if none of them actually succeed, some of them are doing really well for themselves right now. But if all of them don't succeed, they're like, "Damn, you dropped the ball!" Like
what happens? They drop the ball. They go to rock bottom, and it's the fans' fault. It's the fans' fault because they put them in that.
Yeah, screw the pillars, guys. Screw the pillars.
Yeah, let's not do that. Give these guys some room to expand.
I could keep talking to you for a bit. I want to ask you all these random stuff too about like what's on your Pinterest.
Hit me with one more random one.
Oh, I just want to know what was on what's on your, because one time you mentioned you're like big on Pinterest and stuff. I'm like, what does this guy pin on his Pinterest wall? Like, what would be on there?
Dude, honestly, I have a lot of retro magazine like clippings from certain Japanese magazines from like the 90s. Yeah. All women's Japan type stuff. I have different runway stuff on there from different fashion shows. What else I have? I have these cool movie posters that people made from Denmark. That's a whole thing. Wow. And actually, you can't see it, but there's a movie poster right there that I got from Poland.
Yeah.
Really, really nice stuff. Actually, look at that. You see that?
We're going to go take a look. For anyone that's listening to this, we're going to go take a look at the poster. Yeah, I can see it. That's dope.
It's a cool poster. Yeah.
Yeah. But so are you like a big movie buff? Is movies like a big thing for you?
Yeah.
What's your favorite movie of all time?
Kill Bill.
Which one? Kill Bill?
I love Kill Bill, yeah.
The whole series?
Kill Bill 1.
Okay.
Kill Bill 2 is cool, but I don't really love all of it.
There's a lot to take away from this, but if you're gonna watch a movie at any point, if you're snowed in like I am and you want to watch a movie, you guys go watch Kill Bill. That's a recommendation from Ricky Stark. If you've never
Kill Bill,
seen it.
Interstellar, Matrix.
Fair enough. Those are all great movies. I love Interstellar too. Guys, go check that all out. Thank you again for doing this. I appreciate your time. Thanks for sticking around to answer a couple of random questions. I had the pleasure to meet you one time under really weird circumstances. I appreciate you being super cool. But,
we met. Wasn't it backstage?
No.
At a show? No.
Revolution at the hotel. I was already out. I might have to take this up, but someone invited me to the hotel to come take them out somewhere. And I came there and that person had already left. So he just abandoned me at the hotel. And I was like, what am I going to do here? So I chilled and I talked to you for a bit and you were super cool. And I did know a bunch of people, but I was like, I drank a little. So
Orlando in the hotel.
Orlando. And I didn't want to bother anyone because I drank a little bit. And I'm like, oh man, I'm not even supposed to be here.
Dude,
so
you had a hat on. You had a
I did have a hat on. Yeah. And then I talked to you, and I ended up just hanging out with the Defy guys because I know them really well because they're in Seattle and I used to go to the shows all the time. And that was about it. But I was like, you know what? And as I left, I was like, a lot of people were cool. Don't get me wrong, because I knew a handful of people already just prior they followed the page or whatnot.
Right.
But I never had talked to you before. Like you were like, I've never talked to you before. And I was like, I came up to you, I complimented him, like, oh, I'm a big fan. Like, I saw you and I was like, you know what? He was actually like really cool. Because you could have been like a dick and like, why are you here? Who are you? What the? But like, you weren't. I was like,
dude,
cool.
I don't remember what we talked about, but I do remember like we sat there. When you walk in, you take a right, and there's a bar, but then there's little chairs along there. We sat over there.
Yeah. You were standing there. I think you were waiting for someone. Aubrey was right there and stuff too, and a bunch of people were chilling by the bar and whatever. And I was like, someone told me to come there once again, and then they left before I got there. And then I was trying to get a hold of them. Like, why would you tell me to come in to grab you and then just dip? But that's when I met you, and you were just like super cool. And I was like, you know what? And I left, and I've always took them like, you know, I really like. First, I liked you as a wrestler, and I was a fan of you since NWA. But then I was like, I really like Ricky. He seems like a really cool dude. So,
I'm generally a nice person, and also too, you talked to me right after they showed me my action figure, so my eyes were red, not because I was high, but because I was crying.
Yeah, that's awesome. Is that your first action figure? That one?
That was my very first action figure. They showed me the Darby, the variant, which a lot of people don't realize. I dressed up as Darby. There's no misprint.
Yeah.
My picture on a Darby action figure is not a misprint. I actually dressed up as Darby. And then I have my normal figure. And he's up there on the
cool. That's dope. Well, thank you so much. I want to bring that up though. Like I did meet you and you were super cool. And I think everyone should know, don't ever be hesitant to say what's up to Ricky. He's super cool. And we'll catch you down the road. Hopefully I can get you back on here sometime, and that Christmas tree's still there. We'll see.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Absolutely. I don't know if that was a pun, but it worked. We'll see you guys all next time. Keep doing the thing. Ooh, yeah. Dig it.
It's time to say goodnight. We sincerely appreciate your patronage and hope we've succeeded in bringing you an enjoyable evening of entertainment. Please drive home carefully and come back again soon. Good night.